Make sure it's, yeah, okay.
Okay. Everybody, welcome to the weekly class. Believe it or not, we're in a 4-part series, but we're in part 7. Trying to figure that one out. It's one of our secrets here. Before we start the 7th part of Is Israel, the state of Israel, the beginning of redemption? Is Israel, the state of Israel, Samson? Must say, point that all of the Jewish people feel the gigantic tragedy that occurred a few days ago in New York. And it's really amazing if one thinks about it. There are 2 Rosh Chodesh, 2 days of the new month that a person is allowed to fast. That is the month of Nisan, which we just passed on Shabbat, and that's in the first day of Av. Why is there this exception to the rule? Rosh Chodesh, the new month, is a holiday. Usually you're not allowed to fast. For example, this year, if it wasn't for Shabbat, and if the first day of Nisan fell on a different day, a person would be allowed to fast, even though it's Rosh Chodesh, which is a day of happiness. The reason is, on those 2 days, tremendous tragedies happened to the Jewish people. On the 1st of Av, Aaron HaKohen passed away. On the 1st of Nisan, 2 tremendous giants, righteous people, Nadav and Avihu, the 2 of 4 sons of the same Aaron HaKohen. It's interesting if you think about it. The only 2 days that on Rosh Chodesh that a person is allowed to fast are both connected, just hit me now, are both connected to Aaron HaKohen, Aaron the priest. Very interesting. So, in the various sources in Chazal, our rabbis tell us 11 reasons why Nadav and Avihu were killed. Once again, it was supposed to be a very, very happy day. It was the beginning of the opening ceremony of the tabernacle in the desert. It's supposed to be a great day. And all of a sudden, on that first day, God took, via fire, He took Nadav and Avihu. There are 11 different opinions why they were killed. The Beit Yosef, Rav Yosef Cairo, had a certain angel that occasionally would come and teach him various secrets of the Torah. It's called the Magid. He had a Magid. He's a tremendously holy person, and he had a certain spiritual being that would reveal all types of secrets. The Magid, the spiritual being, told the Beit Yosef that if you see in a Gemara, if you see so many opinions, what does that mean? It means that the sin is so minuscule, is so small, tiny, that no one really knows what it is. If something is clear to me, if I see something before me, I know what it is. If something is far away, to me it looks like a can. To the next guy, it looks like a plant. To the third guy, it looks like a bottle of Coca-Cola. Once you get far away, you're not really sure what it is. So that was the Magid, that's what the Magid said. So these were such great people. Nadav and Avihu, it's not really clear what they did. And they passed away, they were killed via fire on the first day of Nisan. Once again, first day of Nisan in New York, we have a family almost wiped out. First day of Nisan, how were they wiped out? Fire. Nadav and Avihu, fire. And it's hard to understand why. Or Chaim HaKadosh writes in a few places, he says that when the Jewish people are not worthy, Hashem takes righteous people as a public sacrifice. In fact, I'm sure those that are with us and those that are watching know that the Father himself pointed this out, that on Rosh Chodesh there are 7 sheep that are, because of the special day of Rosh Chodesh, the first day of the month, there are 7 sheep that are sacrificed on the day of Rosh Chodesh. On a regular weekday, there's only there's 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. On Rosh Chodesh, it's a different 7. So 7 kids. So we see a public sacrifice. There was something big that was supposed to come down probably on us, and Hashem took this special family, also kids. Now we know that most of the kids were under the age of bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah. They were not responsible. So this too, something that it just shouts out. It just cries out and saying, here, this is something that is beyond the laws of nature here. This is like really, really top notch here. This is like, you see God's hand. But if that's not amazing enough, I was reading that, and I also checked it out, the Fogel family, 5 members of the Fogel family were murdered in Itamar, not too far away from here. They were murdered 4 years ago on the same portion of the week, Vayikra. Just like this past Shabbat we read Vayikra. Vayikra talks about sacrifices. Just like we had in New York 7 sacrifices for the sake of the Jewish people, the Fogel family, on the same portion of the week, Vayikra, were murdered.
There were 7 in the house. Only 5 thank God found. But there were 2 boys that were, thank God the Arabs didn't find them. No, they were sleeping in a bedroom, but the Arabs didn't realize there was an extra bedroom to go into.
3 years ago, Rehovot, 6 members of a family. So we have 5, 6, 7. 6 members of a family were all killed in a fire. Once again, fire. Killed in a fire during the week of the portion of Vayikra. Now, I looked at this up, this last family. It happened on Monday. The fire broke out on Monday. And we know that the Torah teaches us that the light of Shabbat, previous Shabbat, continues until Tuesday. Therefore, there's a halacha that states that if a person was not able to make the Havdalah ceremony on Saturday night, he has until Tuesday to do that. How is that possible? If I didn't pray this morning, and tonight I remember it, it's too late. Well, it's too late, baby, now it's too late, as the song goes. So how could it be that if I didn't make the Havdalah, the separation ceremony after Shabbat, how could I still make the Havdalah 3 days later? Very simple. Because the light of Shabbat continues from Shabbat and it goes until Tuesday. The new light of Shabbat coming, a new Shabbat coming up, that begins on Wednesday. And therefore, if you look by the Ashkenazim, they add 2 verses of Psalms in the Psalm of the Day. The Psalm of the Day, if you look by the Sfaradim, it doesn't have the 2 or 3 verses that the Ashkenazim have at the end. The Ashkenazim add, L'chu niranena la'Hashem nariah litzur yishenu. The same psalm that we begin the accepting upon ourselves Shabbat. We say it on Wednesday. Why? Because Wednesday, the new Shabbat is coming in. The light of the new Shabbat comes in. So therefore, this was on Monday, 2 days after Shabbat Vayikra. So the light of Vayikra still continues. So even though it's really the week of Tzav, which is the next portion, according to the truth, it's really still part of Shabbat Vayikra. So we have these 3 cases. What's important to remember here, dear friends, is that what should bother us the most here. A lot of things should bother us. Many things should bother us. But number one, that's number one, we should think about, it bothers us, the desecration of God's name. If you think about it, a religious family on a super special holy day called Shabbat, and trying to keep that Shabbat, they set up a hot plate or something to that fashion in order to keep Hashem's laws. So we have a religious family on a religious day, the most holy day of the week, on Shabbat, and we have here trying to keep God's laws. And these people are the ones that are killed? These are the ones to go? Not the wicked, not the one with the earrings in their nose, earring in their eyes, eyebrows. These are the people that go? This is a tremendous desecration of Hashem's name. What should hurt us most is that desecration of Hashem's name. That Hashem, probably in order to save us from a big hit here, He had to do this. And even so, He carries, His name is dragged in the mud. People say, hey, that's God. That's the Torah. Keep our Shabbos. The Shabbat that's supposed to bring redemption, if the Jewish people keep 2 Shabbatot, they'll bring the redemption to the world. This is your redemption? Look what happened to them, trying to keep God's will. So that's number one that should be bothering us. The tremendous desecration of God's name here in this case. And the other 2 cases that were mentioned. Okay, now, starting out here, our last point last week in number 6, in part 6, our last point was that Samson is definitely a stage of redemption. We've seen it from, if you go back, and we're not going to do it right now, go back to the parts and you'll see it's so in your face. The state of Israel, Samson, the good parts, the bad parts, we see it. It's so clear. Redemption, beginning of the redemption, Samson. Samson is definitely a beginning of redemption. But he's not the end of the redemption, not necessarily even the middle of the redemption. He has to be replaced. He is eventually, he is taken out by Hashem. Hashem takes him out, and we end the period of Judges. And from there, we will continue in a different fashion. We're not using the same costume of Samson, but now we're going from the Judges to a totally different period of time called the King. Okay? Melachim. Kingship. It's a whole different ballgame. Same thing here. That's what we talked about last week. That Samson is definitely a part of redemption. He could have been the entire redemption, the full redemption, but because of various acts, it became clear to Jacob and others, just like it became clear to Rabbi Akiva that Bar Kokhba eventually was not the Messiah. And it's unfortunate, but at least it's a stage, and we have to appreciate it for what it is. But from there, we have to go on and not get stuck, and not start worshiping a certain idol of the past, Samson, and the state of Israel in its present state. Okay, just 2 more points on that subject. We see in the town of Gaza, towards the end of Samson's days, he goes to Gaza, and the Philistines place they're sneaking around, they're hiding out, and, you know what I'm saying, trying to catch, waiting for that minute where they're going to catch Samson. They're in their camouflage uniforms, ready for him, and then he comes, And instead of fighting them like he's used to, he does something very interesting. He takes the gates of Gaza and he goes north to Hebron. That's what the Torah tells us. He goes up to Hebron. What does that mean exactly? Not only that, Rav Binun from Shiloh asked an unbelievable question. Why does the Torah bother to tell us, you know how he took that gate? He uprooted the gate, but the gate was still closed. Who cares? Imagine this. There's a gigantic gate of a city, Gaza City. Yeah. Rock them Gazans. There's this gate, and he uproots it. Who cares if the gate is open or not? I mean, the guy just uprooted the gate. It's open or not. Is there a lock? Not a lock. Who cares? I mean, I know Jews are interested in bagels and locks, but I don't know if that's the locks that we're talking about here. So Rav Binun asked this question in his book. On page 360, he has a commentary on the book of Shoftim. Listen to his words. Unbelievable. He says the following. Shimshon eino matzliach lifrotz et hasharim. Samson is no longer able to do what he used to do. We said he doesn't attack them. He doesn't have a problem attacking large amounts of people. I mean, he killed 1,000 people with the jaw of a donkey. When he had no strength left, he killed 3,000 people. He doesn't have too much trouble, taking on a few camouflaged soldiers. So Rav Binun tells us that there is, of course, a lot of meaning to the fact that the lock is on. He did not remove the lock. Samson right now is kind of in prison. He's not able to break out of it. I told my wife about the good Jews being a group of good Jews that were arrested for suspicion. I think their suspicion, in our prayers, we talk about bringing on the kingdom of Israel and bringing on, redemption and the Temple Mount. I guess they were arrested for, really believing in it. So there was a group of people that were arrested for a day. No problem for the Russian authorities, the KGB here, who we liked, the Israeli Secret Service. They didn't have too much problem. And I told my wife, one of them was Brother Nadav. And my wife said, well, Nadav, he probably knows how to get out of there. He probably could, I don't know if you guys, this was a long time ago, but there was like, I Dream of Jeannie, like she goes like this and then all of a sudden this magic stuff. So Nadav, I think he has that power. If he just goes, puts his hands together and bows his head, he could just get right out of there. My wife said, he's the kind of guy who could just get right out of there. So anyways, we send our best wishes to all those great Jews, to all those proud Jews. We see here that Samson is stuck. He no longer is attacking the enemy, and he's also no longer breaking through the chains. If you remember one of the previous classes, we talk about the Messiah is called Ben Partsi, the person that breaks through. If you're going, the Messiah is called Ben Partsi because he breaks through. Samson is no longer the Messiah. He could have been. He's the beginning of the redemption, but he's not the redemption. And he's no longer able to break through. That's why the Torah tells us that the lock still remained on the gate. Unbelievable, you're still sitting there in your house and you haven't flown out the window. Unbelievable Torah. Shimshon ma'alet hashar lechevron. Hainu mechin et tofato shel David HaMelech. He's not able to bring the redemption. He's only able to go to Hebron, and he places the gates in Hebron, which means, who was the king of Hebron at the beginning? David. He puts the foundation of the future dynasty of King David. That's what he did. He was able to bring us a stage closer, and that's it. He brings it to Hebron, where from there, dynasty of David, first he was the king 7 years in Hebron, and then 33 years in Jerusalem. L'Shimshon kvar ein koach lamshich et hatalich. Samson no longer has strength to continue the redemption process. Unbelievable. Last point. Samson began to redeem the Jewish people. A verse, it's stated straight out in the Torah. Begins. Doesn't end. Not even necessarily in the middle. But he begins a process. Definitely a process of redemption. Definitely a process of Messiah. But it's the beginning. He could have been, but because of various sins, he didn't make it. But let's check it out. We talked about a couple of classes ago that there's a Anshe Knesset Agdolah, the Great Assembly, when they put together the Amidah, the 18 benedictions that we say, which is the top, which is the heights of the prayers. All of our prayers are leading up to the top. What's the top? The Amidah. We're standing before God, mamish, literally. Every single, we talked about the seventh blessing, redemption, the tribe of Dan being the seventh. Every time that someone's blessing Dan, if it's Jacob, if it's Moses, they're giving the seventh blessing to the tribe of Dan. Redemption, Dan. But if there's beyond the seventh blessing, there's 18. And some of us are stuck. We're stuck in the ones before. But if we look, when we talk about the Jewish people being ingathered to the exiles being ingathered to Eretz Yisrael, which we've seen in our times, millions of Jews coming back. There is, after that, there are a lot of blessings. Let's look, what are they? Okay? We talk about the ingathering of the exiles. That's Tikah b'shofar. But after that, very interesting. Hashiva shoftenu. We must return the judges to Israel. Sounds very interesting, those judges. Everyone realizes, if you look at the numerical value of that bagatz, it comes out to 95. If you look at the numerical value of Haman, they both come out to 95. They are uprooters of Judaism. One uproots it in a physical sense, and one's uprooting it in a spiritual sense. But they have the same job, different side of the coin. And after that comes Vilamalshinin, Vilaminim. Those evil people have to be taken care of. That's a different stage of the process of redemption. So we have the ingathering. Okay, that's where we've gotten to now. But after that, let's go on from here. We don't stop. We go on. And that's the process. And therefore, the Gemara says that the redemption will not come in the Tractate of Sanhedrin. On the 98th page, second side, it says the following. Listen closely. Ein ben David ba ache tichale malchuta zala mi Israel. The redemption will not come to the Jewish people until this very low type of government will be removed from Israel. Chuta zala, zol, cheap. Not only that, Ein ben David ba עד שיכלו כל השופטים ושותרים מישראל. And therefore, once again, it says here in the Gemara, same page, that the redemption will not come until the evil judges and the evil police will be removed from the people of Israel. Okay? So we see here that there's a process of redemption. There's the land of Israel begins to give off its produce in a nice fashion. And then afterwards we have influx of the ingathering of the exiles. And then we have a stage where we have here a secular anti-religious, anti-Torah government, and for the most part also Knesset in that way. Hashem teaches us that how is Hashem going to do it? That I don't know. That I can't tell you over here. But Hashem is going to have it roll, that the redemption process will continue. How is Hashem going to bring it about? That I'm not sure of. Okay? But it's definitely going to be. And we're definitely at a stage. But we can't get stuck to think that what we see is what we get. Okay, this is our redemption. This is not our redemption. They've done great strides. The state of Israel has done great strides to bringing the redemption closer. But we've seen that ad kan, as they say in Hebrew, ad kan, if you have a fruit or a vegetable on a tree, and you allow it to stay too long, what happens to it? Not only does it become rotten, but it also influences the other fruits and vegetables in that area also to rot. If you don't know when to pick a fruit or an almond, and you allow it too long to stay, you're still connected to the wrong side of the redemption. If you stay too long and you believe too long, then it's a terrible situation. Then it starts becoming idol worshipping. We start worshipping an idol that's called the state of Israel, or the government of Israel, or the army of Israel could become an idol to us. Not that they didn't bring us to a stage in the redemption. And we also have to see that in favor and pray for their coming around, that they will also do tshuva. Of course. We have to realize that it was a stage. And from here, we must go forward. So we must take the wise men of Am Yisrael, the great rabbis, the great spiritual leaders, and how do we go further from here? Because this train has reached its destiny.
Well, you can see how there was almost an idol worship and the whole situation like this in this election. How everyone rallied to the state and to this idol perceived as the Jewish leader.
Oh God, save us.
And then what I find even more interesting is that there's perceived, I don't believe it really, it's true, I just believe it's media hype, but there's allegedly starting to be a separation between us and this election started allegedly this opening a gap of separation between us and the nations, with the American president unhappy about the results of this election.
Obama, yes. Okay, moving right along here. Okay. Now, very interesting. We see great things that Samson did. We see great things that the state of Israel did. We've seen great things that the Knesset has done. Of course, there's also bad things. Samson, bad things, the state of Israel. Let's look very, very interesting. If we understand this next point, we'll understand exactly what the problem here. The core of the problem here, we're about to hit it right now, the nerve. That nerve is called Kochi ve'otzem yadi. Hashem brings us tremendous wealth. Hashem brings us health. Hashem brings us tremendous victories, military. And instead of thanking the boss, we become the boss. We become the idols. We worship ourselves. Oh, we're such smart people. Oh, we're so strong. Oh, the other side, they're such idiots. We're so smart. Let's look at it. In the portion of the week, Vayechi, the last portion of Breshit, the Dat Skenim in Balei Tosfot, the commentator, says the following. Listen closely. When Jacob saw the tremendous strength that Samson had, Amar, even though I see that this Samson is a great warrior and he's victorious in his wars for the people of Israel, he should not take personally his victories and think that it's his own strength. When we see the Datskenim, the Tosfot says that when Samson said, when he killed the 1,000 people with the jawbone of the donkey, what does he say? Belechi hachamor ikiti. I was the one that hit. I was the one that killed these 1,000 Philistines with the jawbone of the donkey. It was me. It was my hand. Miyad vayitzama me'od. He became, we spoke about this last week, he became very, very thirsty. He was so not only was he so weak, he thought he was Mr. Strength. But it turns out that even if there would be a pitcher of water next to him, we said last week, he would not be able to reach over and to bring the pitcher to his mouth. Oh, Samson, you're so strong, right? Well, why can't you get that pitcher which is right next to you of water? God, you gave me the salvation. You gave me the victory. And only then did Hashem send him water. Hoda she'ena gvura shelo, rak me'Hashem levado, she'nemar lishuatcha kiviti Hashem. That's why it says in the end of the blessing of Dan, lishuatcha kiviti Hashem. Because Samson realized at the end of his life that his strength was not from himself. His strength was from Hashem. The book, there's a book called Al Yira'eh, I should not see. In the book Al Yira'eh, he says the following. Why did Hashem actually, where did the water come from? It came from the jawbone of the donkey. Now that's very unusual. If I wanted my water, I would maybe perhaps want it in a well, in a spring, in the mountains, in the hills. Why did Hashem send the water within the jawbone? Good question, no? Listen to the great answer. Good question, great answer here of the book Al Yira'eh. כמו שזה נס משמיים שיוצא מלחי של חמור מים, גם זה נס שהכית את האנשים. Just like you understand that it was Hashem who gave you the water, okay? That water does not come out, a spring does not come out of the jawbone of a donkey. You must realize the same thing, that your victory was not by your hand. It was the same Hashem who brought the water in the jawbone of the donkey, which is something that is miraculous. The same miraculous thing happens that you were able to kill 1,000 people. Know where your strength comes from. It's an amazing thing. The Arizal writes, every single month has a special order of God's name. Yud Kei Vav Kei. Every single month it has a different order to it. And that name of God is the name that exists and the name that has influence on the month of that year. Now, very interesting. If you look at the month of Iyar, Iyar was the month. Iyar was the month. It's usually April or May. Iyar was the month where the state of Israel was established. Iyar was the time where the 6-day war, the greatest miracles we've seen, came way beyond what the Maccabees saw in Hanukkah time. So all these, basically, the tremendous miracles of the land of Israel occurred in the month of Iyar. That's the War of Independence and the 6-day war. If you look at God's name in that month, every name of God is based on a certain verse in the Torah. What is that verse in the Torah that the month of Iyar, the establishment of the state of Israel, the expansion of the state of Israel, what is the verse of that month? Folks, we don't have any insurance here, put on a seatbelt because we're going for a spin. The Arizal writes that the month of Iyar, the verse is a verse in the book of Jeremiah. And the verse says the following, that a person should not praise themselves because they are smart, nor should they not praise themselves that they are strong. The only thing a person should praise himself or herself about is if we go in the ways of God. If you happen to be smart, if you happen to be well-to-do, if you happen to be strong, if you're victorious, those are things you are not allowed to praise yourself. Those are things from God. Everything is in the hands of God except for one issue, the fear of Hashem, the fear of heaven. That is in our hands. Will we fear Hashem, do His will or not? That is in our hands. Worldly matters, what's going to be, that is not in our hands. So a tremendous thing. The Torah is yelling out to the state of Israel, to the Knesset, the so-called Knesset of Israel. It's yelling out, look, open up your eyes, the month that you came into being. The verse is, do not take praise in victories, military victories. Do not take praise in your knowledge. It's all from me. That is exactly the beginning and the end of the problem here. This is the crux of the issue. Who do we give credit to? Do we give credit to the high-tech of Israel? Do we give credit to the low-tech, to the no-tech? Do we give credit to the IDF? Do we give credit to the Knesset? Or do we give credit to Hashem? To realize it's all from Hashem. And we have to move closer to Him. If Hashem gives us these tremendous victories and tremendous rewards, we must come close. If someone gave you a present, you would feel like you want to do acts of kindness towards that person who gave you a gift. If they gave you 2 gifts, you feel more, 3, 4. The same problem that Samson had, that he thought that he was the one that slayed the Philistines, we have today. Samson is the state of Israel. Rav Dessler writes in his unbelievable work, Michtav Eliyahu, he writes in the 2nd volume, page 273, what was the problem with Samson? The problem with Samson was haughtiness. What was the haughtiness? Samson received the gift. He received the gift that Samson knew what was right and wrong. Samson had this nose for smelling what's right and wrong. I once, when I was much older, and I went to, I was a yeshiva boy. Those days I was much older. I'm not as young as I am, wasn't as young as I am today than then. But I spoke to the Rosh Yeshiva of Yamit. I was in the Sinai desert, and Rav Ariel was there. At the time, Rav Ariel was the second, he was running with Rabbi Kahana, which was a big, big blow to the to the Rav Kook world, because all of a sudden Rav Ariel, who was a big student of Rav Kook, all of a sudden he's running with Rav Kahana. That was something that never happened. It was a big shakeup. Anyways, that was one of the reasons that I went to that yeshiva. So he told me, he says, you know what? Many times Rav Kahana, Rav Ariel told me, I feel about Rav Kahana, he might not be able to quote the law or the paragraph that he means, but he has this unbelievable sense of knowing exactly what Hashem wants. Without being able to quote necessarily sources, there's something about Rabbi Kahana that he has this, very interesting, because even though Rabbi Kahana could not have been the Messiah because he's a Kohen, and the Kohanim are not, the Messiah does not come through the Kohanim. But, very interesting, it says by the Messiah that he also is able to know what's right and wrong from smell. He knows what's right and wrong. He just has a sense. Samson was given a gift. He knew what to do in life. He knew if I'm being pulled to this woman, it's Hashem's will. He was so pure that he knew that if Hashem was pulling him to this woman, there was something religious that had to be done here. He understood that. So if that's so, why was he punished? He's doing what Hashem wanted. Because then Rav Dessler says, and unbelievable, he became proud of the fact that, well, I have great eyes. What my eyes see and they pull me, drag me towards, that's the right way to do. That's the right things to do. He started taking pride as if he has a connection to that gift, as if he is the boss. It's a tremendous thing. Hashem gives him this gift and he starts relating it to himself. That's where he fell, according to Rav Dessler. Let's go on. It says in Bamidbar Rabbah 22:7, Shalosh matanot nivru ba'olam. There are three gifts that were given to the world, that were created in the world. What are they? One is chokhmah, a gift of knowledge. One is gvura, strength, and the third one is wealth. Those are three gifts that Kosh Baruch Hu created in the world. Three gifts. Listen to this. When these gifts are looked upon as gifts of Hashem, and they come from the strength of Torah, I realize that these gifts that Hashem gave me, whether it's wealth, whether it's strength, whether it's knowledge, I realize that these gifts are not my doing. They are a gift from Hashem, and therefore these are gifts that stem from the Torah. I must go along the path of the Torah, keep in line with the Torah in order that my gift will continue. As long as I realize those 2 points, these are tremendous gifts from Hashem. But if you don't, the Chazal go on. If you think that they are gifts, if you think that they belong to human beings, if you start relating your wealth, your strength, your knowledge to human beings, oh, I had a great teacher. Oh, myself, I'm really a special kind of guy. I could sit down in a university, I could sit down for 20 hours and go through them books. I'm really special. Ain't no klum. If you think those three matters are from yourself or from others, I have to kiss up to my boss. Because if I'm not with my boss, then I'm not going to have any money. I'm not going to be able to survive. Oh, it's your boss that gives you sustenance, eh? It's not Hashem. Hashem can't find you another job, eh? If you realize it's from Hashem, it's a gift from Hashem, it will continue. If you think it's from yourself, if you think it's from others, it is nothing, zero. The Midrash goes on, Chazal go on. There were two great warriors in the world, one from the Jewish people and one from the Gentiles. Who were they? From the Jews was, of course, Samson. From the Gentiles was Goliath. Very interesting. If you go back to one of our classes, maybe the second one, we talk about the fact that Samson, when he was caught by the Philistines, he was put in prison. He was put in a situation where he was forced to, they brought in Philistine women to become impregnated by Samson in order that they should have, they thought that because they didn't know where his strength was coming from, that the strength comes from Hashem. They thought that they could duplicate him, and if all these women would have relations, they would come up with tremendous warriors. One of those people that Samson brought in his relations, even though he was forced to do it, was Goliath. Wow. So it's really amazing. So we have the two greats of the world. They're really the same. They're really the same family, Samson and Goliath. And both of them perished from the world. Both of them perished from the world.
One got his eyes taken out, the other one got it right between the eyes.
Why is that? How did they look? We saw here, Samson thought it was his strength. He thought he was his wisdom, his eyes. He was such a holy person. Got to his head. Sfat Emet writes, what does it mean exactly? If you think the present, if you understand that these three presents, or one of the three presents, are from Hashem, they will continue. If you think they are from people, from humans, it's nothing. It will not continue. What does that mean exactly? Listen to what he says. Sfat Emet writes, Yesh yidiyah sheyodeh adam shekol asher lo hu me'Hashem yitbarach. The thing is, it's a mind game. It's something that's in our heads. What do we really believe? What do we really think? Do we really believe or think that it's from us? Then it's nothing. It will come to an end. That's as if you've grabbed it for yourself. You're a robber. Why are you a robber? Because it's not yours. It's Hashem's gift. And you do not recognize that, you're a robber. And he thinks, Kochi ve'otzim yadi. That's the expression the Sfat Emet uses. When a person begins to think that his victories on the battlefield are victories of his, it's the beginning of the end. It's the beginning of the end. Kochi ve'otzim yadi. It's the beginning of the end. And therefore two great fighters, warriors, Samson and Goliath, both disappeared from the face of the earth. They were both destroyed in battle. Because it stopped coming from Hashem. To realize that our source, it's all from Hashem. Hashem gives me the eyes, He gives me the ears, He gives me the knowledge, He gives me the thoughts. Go here, go there, pull up your rifle now, pull up your gun now. It's all coming from Hashem. Okay, so when we leave Egypt, just understand how important this point is. We are right now 10 days exactly before Passover. To understand this point, I want to read two sources here. First source is connected to our last point, where we talk about that if a person he received one of those gifts, which is strength, which is military excellence. In Tana Dve Eliyahu Navi says in the 24th chapter, 5th paragraph, Al yitalel gibor b'gvurato. When the prophet Jeremiah says a person that's is a warrior, he should not think that his victories are based on himself, on his strength. Who are we talking about? Jeremiah looked out into the world and he said, do not boast of your strength. Who was it thinking about? Listen to what Eliyahu Navi tells us. Shimshon, he was talking about Samson. That was his downfall. It was his case for greatness. He did great things with it, as long as he realized it was from Hashem. But as his life went on, if you look back, if you look in the prophets, you see as time goes by, and we'll also get into it a little bit, his situation his spiritual situation begins to go down. And therefore, once again, he had tremendous potential to be the Messiah or to bring the redemption, but did not come to be. Why? Because of Kochi ve'otzem yadi. The same thing today we see in the state of Israel, where it's all based on the proud Israelis. We're so smart. We're such great soldiers. We have the best army. Nothing, no mention of God. It's all us. V'kevan shemet batla gvurato, he was killed, and therefore nothing was left from his greatness. Ella, what should a person do when you're victorious? What do we do? Ella yitalel HaKadosh Baruch Hu yitbarach shemo shekol hagvura shelo. We should thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu always, as we say every morning, Lecha Hashem Agdula ve'Agvura. Hashem, all of it, all of our strength is from you, Hashem Yitbarach. In 1 second, Hashem can remove from us our eyesight. In 1 second, our hearing, our speech, our able to move our limbs. In 1 second, paralyzed. Every step, every breath, Kol HaNeshama, every breath. Thank Hashem, because it's really true. It's really the truth. Now,
Rabbi, the last incident in Gaza last summer, one of the Givati commanders, his name is escaping me, but he had a speech. He did a prayer before one of the battles.
Oh, did he get it on the head, though?
This is what I'm trying to say. Is he tried to bring God in God's mercy into a Gaza situation, and of course this wonderful state that we're in, state of confusion.
So much potential, unfortunately, that's been.
They even reported miracles there. I don't want to go into shiur, but people said the massive miracles. If you research that, you can see.
Okay, just the last point, and then we're going to have to break here. And wish all you guys, hope to see you in the Temple Mount, God willing, for this Passover. I hope you guys have your subscription with the Temple Institute in Jerusalem. You have a subscription, because even when the Messiah comes, you have to be subscribed to be on with a group of people that are members that have a lamb already picked out. Yeah. So we hope that everybody is.
Contact Noam Fetterman.
Yeah, right. Okay, the Be'er Moshe. Rav Epstein says an unbelievable Torah. He says, if you look at the pollution, if you have to, on one leg, if you want to know what the pollution, what was the impurity of Egypt? I don't want to hear a long story, baby. Just give me one word. What is it? Kochi ve'otzem yadi. What did they believe in? They believed in the lamb. Why? Because to them, the lamb was the God. Because lamb in the Torah and in truth, lamb represents money, power. The mazal, how do we say in English the mazal? There's the zodiac. The zodiac of this month is Taleh, is the lamb. Why? Because they worshipped the lamb, because a lamb represents money, power, strength. So their whole problem in life, Their whole impurity is based on this one issue. Kochi ve'otzim yadi. Oh, everything that we have is our knowledge, is our strength. It was given to us by ourselves. It's our hands. What do you do for a living? It's not what Hashem gives you. It's what do I do for a living. So folks, he says it. It's definitely worthwhile to see. It's on the book of Shmot. I'm just, because we have to run now, so I'm cutting it short. But he brings down unbelievable Torah here, the Be'er Moshe, and Joseph tried to straighten the Egyptians out. He took the daughter of Potiphara, and he tried to, for a while he was successful in bringing the Egyptians away from this. It's my strength, it's my knowledge, it's my money. He was succeeded, but then a new Pharaoh came. He forgot all that Torah of Joseph, and the rest is history. That was their downfall, and today this is our downfall here in the state of Israel.
Thank you. I just wanted to say a plug. I'll leave it on the...
Plug it.
I'll plug. There's a new YouTube channel, Michael Miller, and thanks to Lenny Goldberg, put a bunch of Rabbi Kahana's information up on there. A lot of it's audio, but very interesting to listen to and see what we heard about so many years ago is still very relevant today.